Good evening, everyone. Time for another silver update. This is the daily chart provided by netdania.com. You can click on the link below. Just got a few lines here. The primary downtrend line, the secondary downtrend line. You can see we've broken through the secondary downtrend line. Also, the MACD trend line has been broken. So, as I pointed out on my blog this morning, we're entering into a situation where we may be looking at a very strong rally. Now, these volume figures are somewhat deceptive, so I don't really know what they represent, but you can see we died during the holiday season, which happened to coincide with a major smackdown type low, and now we are seeing volume that we've never seen before. Obviously, the volume doesn't go back historically, so it's not that accurate. We really only have volume figures for 2011, so I can't vouch for the accuracy of these volume figures. If you really want to see the volume figures, you're going to have to go to the COMEX and the LBMA and add all those together. It's really complicated. So for whatever that's worth, the volume seems to be increasing. Now, I did a story this morning on gold. The gold chart is still rising in this long trend that begins with the bottom at around $700. It's hard to believe that gold was $700 back in late 2008, but it was. That was the very bottom, and we've had a continuous and steady rise since then. Obviously, the breakout that occurred in the summer of 2011 when we had the debt crisis and the debt ceiling debate and those things kind of brought it to an overbought condition, and it's corrected that quite a bit. So the chart that I had this morning was a chart regarding this downtrend in the MACD, and it was just today that we penetrated it with the red line. So we seem to be set up for a significant rally in gold, and obviously silver is going to follow. The silver chart is not anywhere as smooth and neat as this chart, but that's to be expected. And of course, for silver stackers, that's a good thing because the dips are violent dips and they give you an opportunity to stack silver at a very, very good price. So I want to talk about that, jump over to some of the silver that's available. Now, I've been talking quite a bit about the Canadian Cougar that's out there, and as I mentioned before, the coin is covered on Tulving, and I had some people PM me and mention that they'd bought, one guy actually bought 7 monster boxes of the Cougar. I think he got them for $31.50, so obviously that guy got a deal. You can see APMEX is buying them right here for $32.31, so unless the price of silver just drops dramatically from here, and it could, but I fully expect that this Cougar is going to behave like all of the numismatic bullion plays, and I'm going to say prospective numismatic bullion plays because I'm still getting a lot of emails and comments about how dare you recommend numismatics. Well, I don't recommend numismatics. I recommend bullion coins that have a slightly higher premium than standard bullion, just slightly, maybe $1. You can see this is $3.79. I think at most places the Eagles are anywhere from $1.99 to $2.99. So this coin is still just slightly above bullion, but it's, in my opinion, a numismatic play. Now, I believe that this is probably the last time that you'll see this coin. You can see that there's 8,000 on APMEX here for the singles. You can get them for $33.95 if you buy 500 or more. Or you can also get the 25 coin tube rolls, and there's 37 of those left. Now there's another, I keep forgetting the other seller that sells these. I thought I had them all listed, but people keep reminding me and I skipped some. So forgive me for that. I already checked Gainesville, and they don't have any. I checked Providence, and they don't have any. So Tulving still has them. If we go over to Tulving, you can see that he has them in the boxes of 500. He says he has over 90 boxes in stock. Now that's a lot. You would think that if he has that many boxes, that's about 45,000 of those. So it looks like Tulving actually bought up a big supply. So that's something that would give one pause, but even at that number, I don't think they're going to last that long. So that's the Cougar. I'm watching that coin very closely. I fully expect that if the price of silver drops, and this has been my experience in the past, when the price of silver drops and these online sites start to get overloaded and the supply starts dropping real quickly, then that's when I bought my Tigers, that's when I bought my Koalas, that's when I bought a lot of the coins I purchased was on drastic drops, and that was the last time I saw those coins. I never saw them again. You have to remember that the Perth Mint coins are pre-ordered by these people. I don't know if Tulving pre-ordered all these boxes of these Cougars or if he got them from somebody who pre-ordered them. But anyway, so that's a numismatic play I'm watching very closely. There seem to be quite a large number of them left, but I don't expect that to last. Now, the other one I wanted to really review here is the 2012 Koala. My initial reaction was that I just didn't like the coin. I'm having second thoughts now, just like I had second thoughts on the Cougar, and I'm starting to think about this coin. There are none left on APMEX. I haven't seen it anywhere else. This is the only place I've seen this coin available. I don't think that Gainesville gives you those figures, so I really don't know how many they know. But I'm not recommending this coin for I can't make any recommendations, but I'm not really for this coin, but I'm watching this coin very closely because I'm starting to have second thoughts about my judgment of how good of a potential numismatic bullion play this coin could be. So, and then we want to go over to Scottsdale. They have the Taku in, which I still really like this coin. This is the 2011. They're going to be gone soon. There's not going to be many left. And so you can see if you get to a wire transfer and 25 or more, you can get the tube for $6.99. That's 700. There's 20 in a tube. It's 35 bucks a coin. So that's still a good $5 over spot. Now you're talking about $2 or $3 over what you're paying for bullion. So it's still, in my mind, a bullion play, but it has a big numismatic potential. So those are the coins I'm looking at right now, and you might want to consider them for stacking. Now, the main topic of the night, I wanted to go over what I'm going to term overwhelming demand. In other words, the demand that I would consider overwhelming demand enough for physical silver that will overwhelm the paper shorts and the paper players. In other words, how much silver buying of the physical is it going to take to overwhelm these shorts? Now, I wanted to start out by jumping out to the Silver Users Association site. Unfortunately, when I did that, a very strange thing occurred. So I'm going to go ahead and search for this because it came up with a really strange page. Now you can see they're loading the page, and when I went to the page, I wanted to go to the demand. And what's so strange is when we go to the demand of silver, we're taken back to a 2004 page, which is really strange. Why are we going to a 2004 page? Now, if you look at the bottom, you can see the copyright is 2005 through 2012. So this isn't a cached page in the sense that they just have loaded something that they had in the past. So it's very strange. I challenge you to surf through this site and try to find out why we're getting, you can see the calendar is there, but when we go to the facts about silver, if we go to mining, we get 2004 figures, and if we go to demand, we get 2004 figures. So as you know, I'm kind of a conspiracy minded guy, so that piqued my curiosity, and I went ahead and did a jump over to the Wayback Machine. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but the Wayback Machine is the Internet Archive. So they archive pages on the internet on a regular basis. So I went ahead and put in the Silver Users Association and did a take me back on the Wayback Machine. First thing that strikes you kind of strange here, well, 2012 just started, so it's not really surprising to see nothing cached from this year because it's just started. But the year of 2010 is blank. There's nothing cached there. That's kind of strange. So we do have a date here in 2011. They have a cached copy of the Silver Users Association site on the 14th of May 2011. So we click on that page and this did not load before. It said the Wayback Machine has had a problem. So we'll go here through the Wayback Machine and go to About Silver and go to the mining, and we're still at 2004. So you tell me. I cannot explain what has happened at the Silver Users Association page, and I'm not going to attribute it to nefarious motives, but it certainly is strange. I'm a network guy and a internet guy and a server guy, and this is certainly something that I can't explain. So let's just look at the figures that we have from 2004. They're listing the industrial use at 367 and the coin at 41 million. That's kind of interesting because we surpassed, now that's worldwide, and you look at the silver demand in the United States, coins and metals 15 million. Did we do 40 something million last year? So very interesting. But I believe the industrial demand is around 500 now, and the coins and metals is around 100. So I don't know if the silverware number is that high anymore. But the point of this topic is to try to estimate what type of overwhelming demand will it take for physical silver to overwhelm the shorts. So I tried to do a study of the savings that Americans do, and Americans don't do a lot of savings. You can pull up graphs, and the savings rate in this country is atrocious. But Americans primarily do savings through their 401ks. So I decided to do some math on that. Now, I went and looked these up. I'm not going to show you my sources. It was actually very, very difficult to find the dollar figure. I actually never found it. The dollar figure per year that Americans sock away into 401ks. I'm not talking about the match. I'm just talking about the monies that they save out of their paycheck. And of course, that's pre-tax. But I'm just looking at how much that savings rate is in this country. Now, so I'm not going to show you my sources because it took me a long time to find these. I just memorized the numbers. But basically, the American workforce is about 140 million people. And the average wage, and these are from 2010, but we'll just use these for round numbers, is 40,000. So that's going to give you a number of about 5.6 trillion. So if you're taking all the workers and all their wages, and this is just on average, you got about 5.6 trillion in wages. Now we know that from another article I found that, and this is from years back, it may be higher, it may be lower, but the figure that they had was 7%. The average withholding that people were making for their 401ks was 7%. A lot of the matches are 10. You can go as high as 15,000, 17,000 a year, but the average was 7%. So we want to take this number times 0.07. And that comes to 392 billion. So we'll just round that off to 400 billion. So that's going to be our number. What that number represents is the amount of savings in their retirement plans that Americans are putting away every year. So what we're looking for is how much of that money will need to go to physical silver to create an overwhelming demand. In other words, as silver gurus and silver promoters, what percentage of the population do we have to convince to start saving their money in silver instead of saving their money in paper? So we've got 400 billion, that's our number. That's what they're already saving per year. So the first thing we want to do is, just for curiosity's sake, we want to see what 1% of that is. So we'll multiply that times 0.01. So 1% of that figure is $4 billion. Now we want to take that figure and divide it by the silver price, which is 30 bucks. So if 1% of Americans decided to stop contributing to their 401k because it's saving in paper that is being rapidly devalued, and decided to save it in physical silver, they could purchase 133 million ounces in that year of silver. Now obviously, if 2% did that, it would be 266 million. And if 3% did that, you're talking about 400 million ounces. Now I'm fairly well convinced that 400 million ounces of silver being taken off the market physically every year would overwhelm the cartel. Unfortunately, I don't have the silver users numbers to give it to you. So do the math yourself, look into that. I think it's very feasible. Now remember, this is not worldwide demand. And if you remember, the Chinese are actively promoting the saving of physical silver and physical gold. So the American population at roughly, we'll just say 300 million and world population of 6 billion, the U.S. population really only represents 5% of the people in the world. So just with those figures, if 3% of 5% of the people of the world used their savings yearly just for their retirement in physical silver, it would absolutely overwhelm the silver shorts, and you would see a price explosion. We're talking about 400 million ounces physical taken off the market, and at that point you would see a battle between the industrial users and the jewelers and the silver stackers, and that would probably break the cartel. So it's just a matter of convincing people that they should be saving their hard-earned money in physical silver rather than in paper dollars that depreciate every day. So I wanted to take you through the blog roll. I don't have time to do the whole thing because I've been very busy adding a lot of articles. There's really a tremendous amount of articles that impact silver every day. I had a suggestion from someone. I was doing tags of everything, just like my YouTube channel has, tags of everything related, and a person who uses my blog suggested that I really should only put relevant tags. So I'm going to clean up my tags and try to make it more useful. So if you click on Gary North, you're going to get just the Gary North articles. Now you can see it's broken right now. So I'm going to spend some time over the next weekend and the next few days cleaning up the tags so that it's more useful for you to go through the tags and read the articles that you're interested in. So for example, if I post an article about Iran and the situation, whether it's about the dollar or anything else, then by clicking on that tag, ideally you'll be able to pull in order every article that's on my blog that addresses that topic. So, for example, here's one that's on the Patriot Act. If you do that, it should pull that article, and there you go. It's broken. So those are the tags I need to clean up, and I'm going to do that, and that will make that more useful. But I did want to go to some of the charts that I posted this morning because they're fairly important. One was I covered already about the gold being at the very edge of a breakout, and I posted that chart before the market opened. This is gold on the verge of a massive rally, and you can see I posted that chart there, and I already pointed out the technicals. You can see it was just touching at the time I posted that. Earlier tonight at the beginning of this video, you saw that it was actually, it crossed through that line. Now the other chart that I posted this morning that I wanted to point out is the silver chart that I pointed out, and you can see the title I gave it, Silver Rally, Some Really Bad Financial News is Needed in the Next Few Hours. And I gave the technicals, which showed that silver was poised for a breakout to test a 31 and 33 level. We have a new trend line up. We've broken through this trend line down, and my prediction was that we would see some really bad economic news if they wanted to contain these potential explosions in the gold and silver price. And sure enough, at about 8:30, we got, if I can find my post on that, we got bad news from, well, I'm not finding the post, but we got really bad news from the employment that this is the worst employment report in 6 weeks. And we also got really bad news out of Europe as Draghi, or Dragula as I called him, was talking down everything and saying how bad everything was. So it's really interesting that you can actually predict the news just based on the gold and silver price and what the manipulators have to do to prevent these from going to the moon. So that's the main story. The overwhelming demand for silver really only needs to be 3% of the population deciding to take their money out of the paper Ponzi schemes of their 401k. Yes, they have to take a pre-tax hit because it's no longer pre-tax. They need to pay taxes, take that money, invest it in physical silver, and if only 3% of the working public of America did that, it would overwhelm the paper Ponzi scheme in silver, and you would probably see $100, $200, $300, or even $500 silver price. And we'll talk to you next time.